Welcome everyone to our webinar. Today we are speaking about the self-study methodology for the CFE. Now CFE is a certificate different than any other certificate in the world. Why? Because with the CFE, actually it's possible for you to do self-study and pass the exam without going to a class. Is this possible? Yes. I did it myself. I didn't go to a class to pass the CFE exam. I actually studied the concepts and I was able to pass the exam, but after 6 months. After reading more than 1,800 pages at that time when I took the exam. And after that, practice more than 1,400 questions and then going and taking the exam over the weekend. It took maybe 2 or 3 days. I took it in one shot and I passed the exam. But the issue here, the main issue with the CFE is the following. And this is what we are going to discuss during this webinar. We are going to focus on what are the best techniques, what are the methods that you need to use for you to be able to study and pass the CFE on your own without going to a class. First, before we start, some of you are not familiar with actually the CFE and the fraud examination. So let me give you an introduction. So when we are speaking about fraud examination, we need to understand what is the definition of fraud examination. So fraud examination is actually the methodology that was created by the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners related to resolving allegation of fraud from tips, complaints, and accounting clue from inception to disposition. From the minute we hear there's a fraud until we figure out exactly how can we resolve the issues related to fraud. So it's all about you knowing the techniques of how can you collect the evidence in the proper way? How can you maintain the evidence in the right way? How can you use it from a legal standpoint in the proper way? At the same time, it's all about figuring out the proper interviewing techniques for you to be able to interview the witnesses, to interview the suspect, to be able to collect the information that you want. And then after we finish the investigation and we get the admission, how are we going to document all this evidence and all this information in our report? And then when we are going to take the case to the court, how are we going to testify to the finding in the court? Then how can we go back to the organization, help the organization in recovering the money, and at the same time be able to actually fix the internal control that caused this fraud to happen? So how can we prevent this control, this fraud in the future? So these are the concepts that actually related to fraud examination. Remember, there's a big difference. And this is why I want to make it clear for all of you. There's a big difference between investigation and fraud examination. You say, yeah, no. Let me understand. My friends, you are not taking an investigation course. Investigation course, you can take it if you are working in the police station. You can take it if you are working in, sexual harassment because you are doing investigation HR. Investigation, you can do it for criminal case. We are not studying investigation. And this is why we need to make it clear. We are studying in this exam. I'm not speaking in general. In this exam, we are studying the techniques, the methodology of fraud examination. The meaning when we are dealing with cases related to fraud, not crime, how can we actually deal with these cases? How can we actually figure out the proper legal method for us to take this case and carry it to the court? How can we figure out how can we handle civil cases related to fraud and criminal cases related to fraud? And at the end, how can we actually implement and help the organization in having the proper internal controls so fraud will not happen in the future? We are not speaking about anything else. We are only speaking about fraud. This is why some individuals, they come from HR. They say, Iyad, I would like to take the CFE. Is this the right certificate for me? I said, yes, if you are handling inside your organization cases related to fraud. But if you are handling in your organization cases related to non-compliance, cases related to, ethics issues, maybe this is not 100% the certificate for you, because here purely we are speaking about issues related to fraud. So now this is why the skills that you need to have as a fraud examiner, it's 4 things. You need to actually have understanding of the law. You don't need to be a lawyer yourself, but you need to have a good understanding of the law. So in that way, you will know exactly how can you handle the cases from legal standpoint. So if we are handling cases in civil law countries compared to criminal, common law countries, how can we handle it? If we are handling actually cases related to corruption, how is different than handling cases related to misappropriation of assets or fraudulent financial statement? Understanding the legal elements is very important for you to carry out your work. This is why, which is challenging for most of you. How many of you here in the room, you are lawyers? You can raise your hand if you are a lawyer. Any of you are lawyers here? We have one hand. Only we have one hand. Okay. So in that way, we have only one lawyer in the room, which is good. Two. We have two lawyers. Okay, good. So if we have lawyers, the meaning of it that you as a lawyer, the law section is easy for you. But for the rest of us, even me, when you go to read the law section and you are wondering what the hell they mean by this legal term. So what I did when I was studying, I will go to Google and I try to Google it. Not only that, Google will give me the legal definition, which is I have no understanding of it. So what I need to do for me to be able to understand it, I will go and find a YouTube video. And this is one of the techniques we need to discuss in this class. Any concept you don't understand in the CFE exam, the best way is to go and type it on YouTube, and YouTube will give you videos. And try to find these short animation videos for 2-3 minutes. Don't go listen to this guy who's speaking for 50 minutes about a concept like social engineering. He's saying the method of social engineering. I don't care. I want someone who's going to tell me social engineering in 1 minute so I understand it. So when I get it in the exam, I know how to answer it properly. And this is the idea. So this is what I say. Your teacher is not me, is not the instructor in the class. Your teacher is the internet, is the YouTube. And you can learn valuable information from the internet that not even the best instructor can teach you. Why? Because someone took really his time to create this animation to explain the concept in a simple and easy way for you. Example for it in the law section, what is the difference between common law and civil law? Even me, when I teach my classes for the CFE, I have difficulty because some students, they say, no, even you explain to us, we don't understand it. So what I do, I send them a video about the difference between the common law and the civil law. Once they see the video, like, now it's clear. Because the video will take the map of the world and they say, look, these are the countries with common law. These are the countries with civil law. These are the countries where they have mix. And they will explain to them, okay, in these countries, what will happen? In this country, what will happen? So they will understand it much easier. So videos are your tools, number one, to understand that in the law section. The second way, if actually you watch the video and you try to read everything in the book and you don't actually understand it, the second method that you need to use is to ask an expert. If you know someone who is actually expert in the legal issues, you can ask him some questions to clarify some issues. If you actually go over the internet and you expand your knowledge by reading some issues, like for example, you are speaking about defamation and you're like, I have no idea what's defamation. You read about it, you don't understand it. You watch on YouTube, you don't find anything useful. So what you need to do, you need to go find some books related to law, or you need to read it completely in the fraud manual and try to actually find additional resources that help you to understand that concept. So this is one of the techniques that you need to do. Or you speak any of your friends if you are studying with a friend who's lawyer. So in that way, they will help you actually understand this concept. So the law section for most of you is gonna be the most difficult one. When I did my self-study, I was confused. Even now, I teach the CFE exam review course with ACFE for the last 6 years. And every time I'm teaching the law section, someone will try to ask me legal question. Like say, what will happen in common law if we are handling this case? And I'm not a lawyer, so I say, I'm sorry. I understand the basic concept that can help you handle fraud case in reality, and the concept that can help you pass the exam. But I'm not a lawyer. So don't ask me legal question because I will not be able to understand. So this is the difficulty when you are studying for the exam. Now, the second thing is accounting. Oh my God. Okay, let's go again. By a show of hand, who got accounting background? Accounting background. It's good. It looks like we have here maybe 17. 17, they have accounting background. All right, so accounting background is good. We have here around the, yes, 17, correct, 17. So we have 17, they have 18, they have an accounting background. So for you, you are good. You're like, accounting, come to me. I can deal with you. But the bad news for you, that there are only 3 sections related to accounting in the book. And they are speaking about the basic accounting principles. So you don't need to go in details. They are not going to ask you to actually create financial statement or analyze financial statement. They are going to ask you basic information. Even from the actual accounting section where we speak about the balance sheet and income statement and cash flow statement, all the stuff, they are going to ask you 3 questions in the exam. So even for the rest of you that you have no knowledge in accounting, zero. So you say, some individuals, they come to me, they say, yeah, I studied geography. I didn't study anything called business. So I have no idea what is accounting. I said, don't worry. You are going to get only 3 questions in the exam. It's not really that important. What is important is to understand the financial statement fraud, not to understand accounting. Forget about accounting. You need to understand how can someone manipulate the financial statement? How can someone, create fictitious revenue? How can someone manipulate the inventory? These are the fraud schemes related to the financial section that you need to understand. So this is, if you are doing self-study and you have zero knowledge of accounting, my suggestion, just go over YouTube again and watch some videos related to accounting, understand these basic concepts, and try actually to go over them. The worst thing that you do, and I will repeat this, the worst thing that you do, that you can be a victim of fraud. You say, no, yeah, I don't understand. How can we be victim of fraud? So let me tell you something. There are individuals that are in Dubai and they are outside Dubai. And many of them, they are in India. What they do, they will tell you, if you contact us, we will give you the questions of the CFE exam. If you contact us, we give you the study material that you need to study and focus on for the CFE exam. And look how interesting. They say for free, we give it to you. Come on. What is the motivation for someone to give you for free the actual questions in the exam and the material? So what do you think is the objective? The objective that they are trying to cheat you, that they are trying to trick you, so you trust them and then they build relationship with you. And the next step, I will tell you what's going to happen, because I contacted them myself. Because can you imagine, they contacted me, they say, yeah, would you like us to give you the questions of the exam? I said, oh yeah, give it to me. So they send it to me. When they send it to me, I notice that what they are giving you is nothing. They are giving you some information from the fraud manual. They are giving you some tutorials, CFE they published long time ago. They are outdated. And they give you some actually questions that are available over the internet, but they are not related to the exam. But when you get them and you didn't really study for the exam and you don't know any idea, you're like, wow, really so nice. Then you go start studying. They give you around like 170 pages. So it's short. You study. You're like, wow, it's really nice. Then they contact you. They say, listen, I know you study all this information, but maybe you are not confident to pass the exam. Would you like us to take the exam on your behalf? This is in the old days. Today, you can't do this. Today, the exam is actually monitored. So in that way, there is a camera. But in the old days, they will approach you again. They say, give us some money and we can take the exam on your behalf. Can you believe that? So they are doing a fraud and they are doing fraud against the potential certified fraud examiner to get you the certificate. Or they will say, why don't you actually take this material for free? And this is the other group that I have met. And why don't you, if you don't understand them, join our instructor? That our instructor is amazing. Do you know how much in India? For $150, he can teach you the whole CFE program. And then when you join the program, you discover that this guy is talking out of his mind. The meaning he is going to open the manual and reading the manual for you. So in that way, if you do self-study, it's much better for you. So make sure you don't go and learn from the wrong person. Why? I always tell this to my students. If you go learn from the internet, from YouTube, someone done a proper video, really good, you will learn. But if you go to someone who actually didn't do proper video, the meaning he created crazy video, if he is confused, he's going to confuse you more. So now the information are scattered and confused in your head. So you are going to be like, now you're like, okay, before I didn't know, now I am confused. Once the confusion will be created inside your head, it's so hard to take it out. So always try to make sure that you learn the information from the beginning in the right way. Because if you learn it in the wrong way, it's so hard to unlearn it and learn it again. And this is what will happen in the accounting section. Because this accounting section, there are so much information covered in it. So if you don't understand exactly the concept properly, you will not be able to pass the exam for it. So this is when we speak about the accounting. Now, the third one, which is very interesting to all of us, investigator. You need to know the investigation skills. So here, let's again raise by hand. How many of you are in the investigation or internal audit here in the class? Investigation, internal audit? We have good numbers. Or okay, investigation, internal audit? Good. So we have around 29 investigation internal audit, which is good number. So look, when we are speaking about you most likely understand the techniques of how can we collect the information, how can we document the information, how we need to analyze it, how we need to do the proper interview. Why? Because this is based on your experience, based on your background. But for the rest of us, we don't really know the right techniques. Should we take notes when we are doing the interview or not? Should we actually look at their eyes or not look at their eyes? Should we actually ask them aggressive question, be nice to them? When should we add more pressure? When should we add more stress? We have no idea of these techniques. So this is why This section would be so easy for someone who's in investigation or internal audit, but it's going to be challenging for individuals who are in different sections like accounting or finance, or they are in different domain. So this is why this section, it's very important to learn it properly. What's the meaning learn it properly? If you read it in the books and memorize it, good, you will pass the exam. And all of you will be certified and you say, I'm so great. Look, I'm certified fraud examiner. I'm amazing. But then when they give you an actual fraud case, you are like scratching your head. You're like, what they say again I need to do when I interview someone? How I need to document the information? So are you trying to pass the CFE exam just because you want to have this title, say, look, I'm certified fraud examiner, or do you need to know how to carry out your work? This is why my recommendation, if you are gonna study for the CFE, for the investigation section, if you don't have background in investigation and internal audit, take a course. We are offering, by the way, this course free of charge. If you go to our website, openthinking.ae/fraudology, we have a full course covering all the fundamentals of fraud examination from A to Z, completely free of charge. You can attend it and you can learn the fundamentals. Not from me, you are going to learn it from the best in the class, from Mr. John Gill, the author of the fraud manual, from Mr. Sherman McGraw. He is also a very well-known speaker with ACFE conferences, and so many global speakers that we have. The first speaker was actually the CEO of the ACFE. He was speaking about the report of the nations and a new update. So go learn from these resources, because learning the proper techniques related to investigation is not only important for you to pass the CFE exam, but for you to carry out the proper investigation later when you are doing investigation in real life. One mistake in an investigation can lead you to lose the case and lose your job as well. So you need to learn it in the proper way. So this is why I highly recommend you always, before the investigation section, it's not enough to memorize it. You need to know the techniques if you don't have experience with it. Now we get to the final section, which is interesting, related to criminology. They are teaching you in the CFE about how can we actually figure out the proper way of having the internal controls, the compliance programs, the ethics programs inside the organization, to ensure that the culture is right, to ensure we have the proper governance, the proper fraud risk assessment and fraud risk management, so fraud will not happen. So in this section, we are speaking more about the human behavior, about how to stop crime, about different criminal theory. So it's more about psychology mixed with internal controls, mixed with internal audit, mixed with compliance. So if you are in this domain, if you are compliance or internal auditor, you will shine in this section. But unfortunately, the questions in the exam that ACFE is asking in this section, they are very tricky. So they want to know exactly, do you really understand these topics, or you are trying to memorize and answer the questions? So for that section itself, you need more memorization and more understanding. They are going to ask you things that you need to memorize, and they are going to ask you things that you really need to understand. So for that section, you need to do more preparation for it. You really need to read in depth to understand it. All right, now this is how the break of the CFE exam. We have the fraud prevention and deterrence, which is focusing on the last section we discussed. We have the financial transaction focusing on financial fraud schemes. We have the fraud investigation, speaking about the different techniques for you to obtain the information, doing digital forensic, figuring out how can you do the proper interview, and we have the legal elements related to fraud. So we have different sections that you need to study. If you want to study, this is what you need to get. You need to go to the fraud manual. Please don't get the printed one. I did this mistake. I went and I bought the printed one. And what I did with it at the end, I was living in Chicago at the time when I took the exam. I actually throw it away. Why? Because I'm not gonna fly with it back to Dubai. It's so much weight. I can buy nicer things from US and take it with me. And the second thing, ACFE, they update it on a regular basis. So in that way, every year they update it. And let me tell you news that it's not actually published yet. This is private news that the CFE exam in 2021 is gonna have major changes. So major changes are coming up in 2021. So for all of you, this is secret between me and you, don't tell anyone. For all of you who you are studying for CFE, try to finish the exam before 2021. Because 2021, ACFE, they recognize that actually we are living in the digital age. There are so many new updates and changes. We are speaking about financial crimes, about bitcoins, about fintech, about so many, about cyber attack, about all these kind of things that are happening. So ACFE, they are really changing the fraud manual to include all these new things in their update. So my recommendations, if you are studying or you start studying, try to have your target before December, the exam is finished. Otherwise, if you are going to go to the next year and take it next year, there are so many updates, which is good. Like someone will say, I have some of my students, they say like this. They say, yeah, I want to take the new one so I can learn the new knowledge. I say, my friend, pass the exam, then I will teach you the new knowledge. It's okay. Don't try to go to that exam that's going to be more difficult with the new questions, with the new concepts, with more information. Study whatever you have, pass the exam, and then you can actually move on. It's okay. You can learn at any time. Learning is always open. You can go buy the new manual and read it. It's okay, but you don't want to be on the test. Now, for you, if you are doing self-study, the best way for you to study is to buy the CFE prep course. Now, by showing of hands, how many of you already bought the CFE prep course, or you are thinking about buying? All right. Okay, so we have around, let's see how many we have. We have around 25 actually they bought the CFE prep course. Good for you. Now, I know the challenge, and I was facing the same challenge. When I was actually studying for CFE, I was a student. So I was thinking, like I'm a student, and I don't have really so much salary. Is it worth it to actually spend $995 to buy the CFE fraud manual? CFE prep course? I was thinking. So what I did first, I bought the manual, and I started studying the manual. I was like, oh my God, there are so many concepts. Now, what are the questions in the exam? I have no idea. So I decided to go and invest the money and buy the CFE prep course. Now, the CFE prep course is essential. If you don't buy the CFE prep course, it's so hard for you to pass the exam. Why? I don't know if this is true or not. I really don't know. But I heard that if you buy the CFE prep course, the questions are going to be from the fraud manual and the CFE prep course. If you buy only the fraud manual, the questions are only coming from the fraud manual. So in that way, if you are willing to go and try to figure out in all this fraud manual how they are going to ask you, and then at the end of the day, how you are going to test your knowledge, how you are going to know if you understand the concept. Now, someone will ask me here, yeah, the questions in the CFE prep course, are they the same in the exam? The answer is yes. Exactly the same questions. Nothing will change, not even one single question. But that was 20 years ago. Not now. Now they are not. In the old days, yes, 20 years ago, if you take the exam, the same exact question you get in the CFE prep course, you get it the same one in the exam. Nothing will change. Only maybe 10 questions will change. But today, the situation is not. So you say, yeah, so what's the value of buying the CFE prep course? Why should I actually study from the CFE prep course? Let me tell you, 30% of the questions you are going to get in the exam, they are from the CFE prep course. 30. But they are not exactly the same. They change the words. So for example, in the CFE prep course, they say which one is the least. In the exam, they say which one is the most. In the CFE prep course, we say which one is true. They say which one is false. So you are going to get percentage with it, which is 30 is a good percentage from the CFE prep course. But at the same time, the rest of the questions, they are going to teach you important concepts that if you go and take the actual exam, you will be able to actually clear the exam because you already understood the concepts. There are so many concepts. They are going to ask you about it in different way in the exam, but because you answer the question in the CFE prep course, you are going to be ready to pass the exam. I have so many of my students, they say, yeah, listen, we don't want to attend your class. We are going to buy the fraud manual. We are going to buy the CFE prep course, and we are going to study on their own, on our own. And they did. It took them 4 months, 6 months, and they were able to clear the exam. And they were happy. They were like, we learned a lot. We have read a lot of information. We prepared for using the CFE prep course. And this is the option they decided to do. And I told them, I support you 100%. This is a good approach for you to go and do it. Of course, it was sometimes challenging for them because some terms they didn't understand, or sometimes, they got a question they didn't understand, but who cares? You need to score at least 75 in the exam for you to pass the exam. So it's okay. You don't need to score 100%. So this is very important tool. What about the fraud manual? The fraud manual is a must. So someone will say, yeah, I'm going to only answer all the questions in the CFE prep course and go take the exam. My friend, you are not going to pass the exam. Why? The questions are coming from the manual. They are not coming all from the CFE course. 30%. What about the rest? How are you going to understand them, and how are you going to prepare for you to pass the exam? So you need to actually focusing on studying from the CFE prep course, which is, I know it's expensive. Someone will say, wow, I need to pay all this money for the questions. my friend, ACFE, like ACAMS, like IIA, all of them, at the end of the day, they are creating their training material because they are non-for-profit organization, and the money that they will make from their members is the money they will use to create awareness about the certificate, to make the certificate very well known, to create all this research, to pay for all the individuals who are administrating the exams and the training. So this is what all of us, we have to be in case you want to go the easy route. But studying from the manual, personally, I will tell you, is a waste of time. Because you are going to take the exam, unless you are genius, or unless you are professor in fraud examination. Even professors, I notice they don't pass the exam. I don't know why. They teach us all the time about fraud examination, but they fail in the exam. You know, you are not going to be able to clear the exam only with the fraud manual. It's going to be hard. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be hard. So think about this approach. Now, the issue that ACFE they cover in the exam, they are 4 sections. They have investigation, they have law, financial transaction, and fraud prevention and defense. Now, every exam is actually 100 questions, and you have 2 hours to complete them. But you have 75 seconds per question only. So in that case, you really need to be good in reading the questions in English and answering the questions quickly. Now, the good news is the following. If you are using the new system when you are taking the exam, which is the system with camera and monitoring, you are allowed to use Google to translate the question in case you don't understand it to your own language. But you don't have time, 75 seconds. But some questions, if they are confusing and you don't understand them, you can copy them quickly, go to Google and translate them so you understand them in your own language, which is a good approach. Someone is asking me, should I actually, in that case, study from the digital version of the fraud manual? Definitely buy the digital version. Don't buy the hard copy. Buy the digital version and study from the digital version. Some people, they say, my eyes, I don't like to see the digital one. So I don't know. I'm not sure if you can print it or not. I really don't remember if you can print the digital version, but try to actually get the digital version. The shipping of that to your country, it will cost a lot of money. And the digital much better for you to study from. Someone will say, yeah, should I get the new fraud manual? I bought the fraud manual in 2019 and now we are in 2020. Should I upgrade to the new fraud manual? No, don't waste your time. The fraud manual in 2018 or 2019 or 2020 is approximately the same, hardly any changes. So it's not major changes happen. But for 2021, yes, major changes are going to happen. So in that way, you need to actually upgrade your knowledge there. So again, because the exam is actually 2 hours and you have 100 questions, if you take the exam based on the old method, like we said, you have 75 seconds to clear the questions. But if you take it based on the new method, now the ACFE, where you are going to be monitored, you have 2 hours and you have any time you want for any question. So you need to clear 100 questions in 1 hour. Now, this is challenging from a point we call it time management. So that means if you didn't buy the CFE prep course before, and you are decided to go take the exam, how are you going to manage your time to make sure that you will finish the exam on time? Because before, if you have actually the CFE prep course, in the CFE prep course, they have something here called practice exam. And in the practice exam, that will allow you multiple times to take the exam, to feel how the exam will look like, everything about the exam, so you know exactly how to take the exam properly. But if you are going to just try it from the first time, maybe time management is an issue, or maybe pressure. There are camera monitoring me, someone monitoring my screen, everything is monitored. So that will add the element of pressure. This is another video. You can watch it on YouTube. I have videos called 9 strategies about how can you pass the CFE exam. Just go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Iyad Murtada, and you can watch it related to 9 strategies for managing your time, for managing your study. This is another subject, but it's interesting. How can you actually be able to manage your time properly? So in that way, you don't take so much time in one question, and you don't take so little time in one question, and you'll be able to finish them on time. So this is really important when we are covering these subjects. Now we are going to come to an idea about how you are going to prepare for the CFE exam and pass the exam within 1 month. Who would like to pass the exam within 1 month doing self-study? Anyone? I'm not saying 6 months. I'm saying 1 month. 1 month. All right. So now what I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share with you 2 approaches. The first approach is self-study. The second approach is taking the class with us. But I don't want you to take the class with us. Most of you are going to do self-study. Anyway, you know, our classes are really full. We have more than 110 in our class. So I'm sharing with you our agenda. Why I'm sharing our agenda? Imagine yourself, you joined our class, but you didn't pay for it. How about that? How nice if all of you, you join my class, but you don't pay for it. And this is what we are going to do. You are going to only go by the fraud manual. You are going to only buy the CFE prep course, and you are going to study on your own, but you are going to follow our agenda for the class. So this is our agenda for the last class that we had. Let me see if I can give you the agenda for the upcoming class. So in that way, it will be more realistic. Just a second. It will be more realistic to give you an idea. Okay, how you need to manage your time for you to be able to take it properly. This will be better for you to do it this way. All right, I got it. Okay, let me switch to it. So now imagine you are taking our next class. Imagine how you are joining our class, which is starting in August 2nd. So what I want you now to do, I want you to do the following. You are gonna actually start studying by August 2nd. In August 2nd, you go to your fraud manual and you study the section related to planning and conducting fraud examination and interviewing theory. You spend the day, which is August 2nd and August 3rd, in studying that from your fraud manual and answer all the questions for it in your CFE prep course. Then August 4th, you study data analysis, reporting, and analyzing document and tracing transaction and reporting, and you answer all the questions for it in your CFE prep course. Then in August 5th, you are going to study the source of information, digital forensic, and cover examination, and you answer the questions for it in your CFE prep course. And you review all the information in August 6th and August 7th and take the exam by August 8th. Can you do this? You can do this, but the amount of time you need to spend to study from your fraud manual is approximately 5 to 6 hours per day, plus 2 to 3 hours of time to answer the question in the CFE prep course. So if you have 9 hours per day to spend for 7 days, you can actually take the investigation technique within actually 1 week, but you need 9 hours study. So in that way, I like always to tell my students using calculator. Why using calculator is useful? And I want to use calculator for you because everyone, when they ask me, yeah, do you teach CMA? I say yes. They say, how many hours of study? It's very important for you to count the hours of study. You say, but yeah, what's the meaning of hours of study? Not hours of study while you're watching TV, hours of dedicated study, because the same thing, if you are playing any sport, they say you need certain number of hours for you to be ready for it. The same thing for an exam. If you study certain number of hours properly for it, you will be ready. So here we are saying 9 multiplied by 6, we are saying you need 54 hours of study for 1 week for you to clear the exam within actually 1 week. Now, why I'm telling you this? Because this is from my experience. When we teach a class for CFE, this is how we teach our class coming up in August. We teach them in 2 hours, planning and conducting fraud investigation and interviewing skills. So they don't have to read it from the fraud manual. They don't have to do anything about it. Khalas. We teach them the subject. Now, 100% they know it. Now, that will save them around 10 hours of study on their own. Now they have to spend another 4 hours of study to answer the questions in the CFE prep course. Then they come to our next class. Also, we teach them all these subjects in 2 hours. That will save them another 10 hours, 12 hours study on their own. But if you have the time, see, we live in a world, time and money is important. If I have the time, I will study. And at the same time, if I have the ability, not all of us, we have the ability to go and study on our own and understand. This is why you need in life coaches. This is why you need to go to someone who got experience. When you go to the gym, and you practice, and then you don't gain the muscle. Then you say, what's wrong? I'm working out. Yes, but do you know how to use the machine properly? So it's not everyone knows the knowledge. You can read a book and you can figure out how to use the machine properly and you can do it. But sometimes you need a coach. So this is why for our students, they study 6 hours with us in 1 week, and then they will be able to clear the exam in 1 week and pass the exam. In our class, just in our class, last class, we had more than 90 delegates pass the investigation section on the first week with hardly any study before, just by attending 6 hours, doing the CFE prep course, and actually passing the exam. But I'm not saying join our class, I'm saying do it on your own. We will discuss later. Is this the best option to do it on your own? Maybe, because it will save you money. It will save you not so much money. It will save you around maybe $500. So if you do self-study, it will cost you around $1,500. If you take a class, an online class, it will cost you $1,900 approximately. So not a big difference. So in that way, $500 difference is okay. But again, it's up to you. If you don't want to invest in the money, that's what you need to do. But this is the plan, to take the class over 1 week. All right, I will be sharing these slides with you. So in that way, you can use that for you. You can study with me. That's what I'm saying. Study with me without paying for my class. Follow my schedule and take the exam the same time my students are taking the exam, and graduate with my student and study on your own from the fraud manual and the CFE prep course. And you can do this. You don't have to join a class. Look what they say. They say for the financial transaction, you need more. You need to actually focus on 1 day understanding these concepts. Then you need to focus on 1 day understanding the accounting concepts. Then 1 day understanding the different payment fraud, computer fraud, and 1 day focusing on the inventory. This needs an extra hours of study. So if you were studying before investigation 9 hours a day, here you need to do 10 hours a day. So we are speaking here about 60 hours of preparation. If you study 60 hours, you do all the CFE prep course, you study from the fraud manual, you can make it. But why, when I studied for CFE, it took me 6 months? Because I don't have time. I have full-time work. So I study 1 day 2 hours, 1 day 1 hour. And you know what's funny? After I studied for 2 months, I forget exactly what I studied at first. So I had to go read it again. Remember, when you study on your own, you need to take exam number 1, exam number 2, exam number 3, exam number 4. Then you will know your result. Oh my God. So in that case, you can't just study exam number 1, which is investigation, take it and know your result and spend the next month studying the second one. No, it doesn't work this way. ACFE, they say you need to clear all the 4 sections within 30 days. So the meaning, if you are going to clear all of them within 30 days, the meaning you need to study all of them and clear them following my schedule. So in that way, you can finish the exam in 1 week, you finish every exam. So the meaning, like we said, in 4 weeks, you are certified. 4 weeks, you are certified. When we teach our classes face-to-face, my delegates in 4 days are certified. You say, no, Iyad, magic. How in 4 days they are certified? Do you give them the questions? Yes. Do you give them the questions? No. We cover all the subject in 1 day. And they go review the questions for around 5 to 6 hours in the evening. And then they take the exam at night. Then they come next day. You say, wow, this is like a boot camp. Yes, this is the whole idea. You can actually clear it. I have so far more than 600-700 delegates cleared the exam with us within 4 days. So it's possible. Within 4 days, you are certified. Yes. With zero knowledge before, yes, it's possible. You can make it. But it's so much stuff on you. You are going to study every day 15 hours. If you can make it, you will be able to pass the exam. But here, it's really easier schedule. You study on your own for around 8-9 hours every day, and you'll be able to clear it. So this is the idea. Also, we go to the legal section. Now, the legal section, this is where you are going to stuck. Now, someone will say, yeah, if I'm doing self-studies, should I follow the schedule? No. If you are doing self-study, my suggestion is the following. Leave the legal section until the end. So take fraud prevention and deterrence before, because it's easier, and leave the legal section at the end. Why? Because it will take time. So maybe for the legal section, you need 2 weeks of study. You say, yeah, no, I don't understand. You said 4 weeks. Yes, 4 weeks, but you can make it 5 weeks. But how? ACFE, they said we need to finish our exam in 30 days. Let me explain to you. You study 1 week, right? That doesn't count, only study. Now, day 1, you take the exam. See, this is day 1. You take the investigation. Now, after 7 days, you take what? You take the financial. Again, after 7 days, what you take? After 7 days, you take the fraud prevention. Now, we are in which day? We are on day 14. So in day 14, you already took the investigation, you already took the prevention, you already took the financial. So now you have another 14 days to dedicate to the law and related fraud. So when I studied for CFE, this is what I did. I decided, okay, the law section is something I don't understand, it's difficult. So I'm going to leave it at the end. So I have 14 days to focus on it so I can clear it on my own later. And this is maybe the proper approach. But when we teach in our classes, we try to get them the law in the middle so they can finish it. Because with the law section, we actually give them additional guidance to make it easy for them to pass the exam with no issue. And after that, you know, fraud prevention and deterrence is the final section that we teach. But my suggestion, again, you do the law at the end and fraud prevention before. That's much better as a format. Okay, let me go back to our slide we were discussing. Let's see if I'm going to the right one. Yeah, we are in this one. Okay, so go to the other one. Okay. Let me close this. Okay. All right. So this, if someone, if you were wondering, you know, this is how we teach our classes. This is the second option for you. If you feel based on everything we discussed that self-study option is not the right option for you, you are more than welcome to join our classes. Again, it's personal choice. If you ask me, Iyad, personally, I will never attend an instructor. I will do it self-study. I passed my CI exam self-study. I passed my CME exam self-study, my CRME exam, my CFE, all the certifications that I have, I passed them self-study. CSSX, I passed, you know, CIW, all of them self-study. But not everyone, they love self-study. For me, I always hated instructors, and I'm teaching, right? So you say, why you hate instructors? Because instructor will come and say, so understanding this important topic. They are boring, and not only boring, you feel that they have no understanding of what they are saying. They confuse me. If I have some information, I lost. Now I'm confused. Like I was just recently taking one certificate, and I was attending the training in US. And the instructor, he's like, you know, white hair, he's 57 years old. You know, he is completely, sorry for this word, dead. He's like talking out of his mind. I don't want someone to confuse me or dismotivate me. Usually, if I want to go with an instructor, I want this instructor to motivate me to pass the exam. And this is what we do in the class. It's not about only teaching you, but it's about me behind you, pushing you to pass the exam, creating, you know, urgency for you to be able, following on you to make sure you are passing the exam week by week. This is our photo from our last class that finished just last week. We had more than 110 delegates in our class, and it was an unbelievably successful class. Many of them already cleared the exam. We had like around 70 cleared the exam so far, and the rest, they are taking the last sections that they have. But, you know, it was amazing experience having all these delegates with us. Let me share with you something that, you know, usually I don't share, but this is maybe a good idea to share it with you, to give you an understanding of how our class are running. Let me see if I have the final report here. I was not planning to share that, but maybe this is something you will be interested in. Okay, so this is the report from last week. Okay, so this is the report from the last week. So I'm gonna zoom on it so you will see it properly. Okay. Let me make it smaller. Oh no, it's like this. Okay. Okay, so this is the report from the last week. I'm gonna share it with you to show you, you know, our success rate for the CFE exam. So everything you see in the green, it's actually success. The rest is fail. So these are our students. You can see how many of them are failing and how many are succeeding. I like this page. Look how many they are passing in this page. This is only from one class. Look how many of them are passing. Of course, we have some of they fail, but look how many of them they are passing with us. This is the actual result from the report, of course, without disclosing, you know, the names and the information about these individuals. Just you get an understanding. All of them are happy they are passing the exam. So again, the main idea for you is for you to pass the exam. If you spend your time to get the knowledge, it's good, it's great, congratulations. But the whole idea that are you actually passing the exam at the end of the day, or you are not passing the exam? I know one guy who joined my class and he didn't pass the exam. I said, why? He said, I didn't take the exam. I said, wait. I teach you everything and you learned everything. Why did you take the exam? He said, yeah, it's not about just taking the exam. I need to read the fraud manual. I need to know 100% what I'm doing. I need to know everything. My friend, knowing everything is something and passing the exam is something. Pass the exam, then you can take your time over the weekend, sit home in Corona and read all the manual. Who cares? The idea is for you to focus on passing the exam, not learning every single thing. I have so many of my students. They say, yeah, I want to understand this concept. I say, yes, I understand. Did we speak about it in the class? They said, no, but it's in the manual. I said, great. If it's in the manual and we didn't speak about it in the class, the meaning is not part of the exam. So you can go learn it on your own later. Now the focus is on passing the exam. Knowledge is important. Attend my future training. You will know all the concepts, but the idea is passing the exam. And this is what we focus our delegates to do. We have 112 delegates in our last class, and most of them, they were really happy in attending our class and passing the exam. Now, let me explain to you the structure of the possibility for you to study for the CFE exam. The structure is the following. If you want to do self-study, let me tell you what you have to pay if you are doing self-study. Let me zoom in on this a little bit, because that will give you better understanding of, let me zoom better like this. Okay. Make it smaller a little bit so everyone can see it. All right. Okay. So look what they say. If you are going to go with self-study option, you have to pay for membership. The same thing for online course, the same thing for in-person. It's mandatory. You have to pay. If then you need to go for the exam is $400. Also, it's in the three option. You have to pay the $400. If you need to buy the CFE prep course, also you have to pay this money. Of course, you are going to get in all of them the study and the question and answer. You are going to get the practice exam, and you are going to get your money back guarantee. In case you want your money back and you don't want to pass the exam, that's an option. You can do this. Now, what about flashcard? Also, you get the flashcard. Someone asked me, should I really focus on flashcard? Is the flashcard important? Is it important for me to focus and study from the flashcard, or is it not really important? My answer is no, not really. It's not really important. So don't waste your time on the flashcard. Try to understand it properly, but the flashcard is not the thing that you need to focus on. All right. Next, they will speak about the fraud examination examiner manual. In all of the options, you also will get it. I'm showing you this why, because you need to add the cost of everyone. Okay. Now, what about if you do self-study? If you do a self-study, you buy from CFE something called CFE course workbook. If you are doing self-study and you really want to do self-study, rather than studying the manual, this is the tip. If you don't get anything from our class that we are going to do today, get this. Rather than reading the whole fraud manual for 2,000 pages, just read this CFE course workbook. It's summarizing the information. Now, remember, it's not summarizing the information in a way how it's going to be in the exam, but it's summarizing the important information so you can focus on it. So if you focus only on that with the CFE prep course, you most likely will have a better chance than reading the manual. So rather than reading the manual, you can read that, but that will cost you another $200 for you to buy. So imagine you are going to pay for the membership $200, then you are going to pay for the exam $400. Of course, look, I understand. If you are a member, you have to pay $300 for the exam. I'm saying here, just by themselves alone. Again, if you are a member, you will pay here only $750. This is why at the end, I'm going to give you the final discounted price. If you buy them all together, how much you will pay. I'm just want to make it clear for you that this is individual item. Then later when we add them, we see how much CFE will give you discount on the whole package altogether. Then you are going to actually, this is like I say, the CFE workbook, which is really useful. I wish I knew about this. When I studied for CFE, I read the whole manual. I wish someone told me, hey, you can buy this and save your time. And it will take you between 3 to 6 months to study. It will cost you around $1,451. This is the total net you are going to pay out of your pocket. There is no way on earth that you are going to pay less than this amount if you are going to do self-study, unless you steal the material. Are you going to do fraud in a fraud course? I don't know. Unless you steal the material, there is no way on earth that you are going to pay less than this amount. All right. Now, what about if you are doing the online live instructor course? The online live instructor course got the same features, but rather than getting the workbook, we give you the CFE study guide, which is actually summarizing all the concepts in the exam from a CFE perspective in the class. So the meaning, everything in that book is a question in the exam. So look how interesting. Every line in that book is a question in the exam. So if you just study that book and focus on reviewing the questions, you will be able to pass the exam. I have some of my delegates, they say, Iyad, listen, you are a very nice guy, we like you, but I don't like to attend the class. I say, okay. He says, just, I want to enroll in your class. Of course, they have to pay the full amount. I'm not going to attend your classes. I'm just going to study this study book, and I'm going to do the CFE prep course and go take the exam. Now we tell them, but it's important to attend. He said, no, I don't want to attend. I have no time to attend. So in that way, they actually studying the CFE study guide. Now, based on the policy of the course, it's mandatory for them to attend. So they come, they sit down a little bit, they drink coffee, and this is if they are face to face. If they are online, they come to the online session. They watch some of the sessions, then they leave. But in the end of the day, the secret sauce for passing the CFE exam, the best thing that you can get your hands on to pass the CFE exam is the CFE exam study guide. This is what you need. This is what everything is in it in the exam. That's the secret. But unfortunately, you will not be able to get that CFE study guide unless you enroll in any CFE course all over the world. Once you enroll in the course, they will give you the study guide. So ACFE made it mandatory for you to get the study guide that you need to be part of the CFE course. Now, also you will get with the online course instructor-led CFE training. So we teach the CFE training based on the schedule that we showed you before over 4 weeks. So you can attend every class, every week, and you can take the exam over the weekend. So in 4 weeks, you are certified. I teach the class myself personally, and we try to make it very interactive, very interesting. So in that way, you will be able to clear the exam within 4 weeks. And it will take you 4 weeks to pass the exam. The cost actually is around $4,000. Currently, we are doing 50% discount, so you pay $1,994. Now, if you want fast, express way of passing the exam, you can. It's the same package all, but attending our live courses that we are going to be doing very soon in Dubai. You can fly over, you can attend our live courses, or if you are in Dubai, you can attend them here in Dubai. And the cost actually for it is $2,999. Our next live course that we are going to be doing is going to be in September. So you can attend the class in September. And you can actually pass the exam with us in 5 days. You say, is it possible? Yes, 5 days. Our approach is the following. You attend the class the whole day. Then you take the exam in the morning the next day. Then you attend the class the whole day. Then you take the exam in the morning the next day. Then you attend final day, you take the exam in the afternoon on the last day. So this is our approach of how we tackle it, why it's 5 days and 4 sections. But it's very interesting approach. Now, currently, in case someone is interested in joining our live courses in September, we're speaking only in July, we are giving the same price as the online course. So in case you want to join in July, our September course as face-to-face, someone will say, yeah, what will happen if I join your live course in September face-to-face and Corona is happening and I can't fly over, or something will happen, or they lock the borders, or the airport stuck, or I get Corona, God forbid, what will happen? I say it's easy. For our September course, we are giving the option in case anything happen and you can actually attend that course, you can attend it with us online. So in case anything happen, you can attend it with us online. So we are considering streaming that course. All right, now let's speak about, before we finish here and get to your questions, because I know you have so many questions, let's speak about the value of the CFE. What is the value of CFE? Is it really valuable? Is it really important for me to become certified for the examiner? They say, yes, there is a huge value for CFE. CFE is gonna improve your career. It's gonna add value to you. So it's really important for you to get the CFE. Not only for that, look at the salary from salary standpoint. This is the ACFE report, and they show you what's happening. They show you that if you have CFE compared to individuals, they don't have CFE, 34% of your salary will go higher. At the same time, if you are in the Middle East or Africa, your salary will be 63%. There is a huge demand today on certified fraud examiners in the market. So there is a huge potential for you actually to become a certified fraud examiner. I have been delivering the CFE with ACFE for the last 6 years. Last year, we celebrated our 5-year anniversary, and we have delivered, we have so far not delivered. We have actually more than 700 professionals passed the CFE exam with us last year. Now we reached around, we are close to 1,000. Maybe by next month, we will close 1,000 people pass the exam with us. So, and this is how we deliver our online courses. We try to make it interactive, make it interesting. In our last online course, we have more than 70 delegates already passed the full exam with us. So that's really good news. So in that way, we can help you at the same time in case you are interested in our live or online courses, pass the CFE exam with us. And we teach the CFE exam in a very interesting way online. So we have our proper online system where all the lectures are structured, everything is done properly. You will be able to go attend the webinars like we are doing now on Zoom. You'll be able to ask your questions. I will be able directly to interact with you and answer questions. Imagine I have 110 delegates in the class and I can see their questions directly on the spot and I can answer them. So this is how we do it. All right, I think this is the end here. I don't want to take so much of your time. I think it's better now to go over some of your questions. So thank you for joining us for this session. In case you are interested in joining our classes, you can go to openthinking.ae and you can select the proper package for you. We have courses live that's going to happen in September. We have courses also in, I think, December live. And we have online courses happening, one in August and one in October. Thank you very much.